Welcome to Office Centurion. I'll be your guide. So today's going to be a little different. I just kind of want to touch on some thoughts on the Trent Horn versus Destiny debate on abortion. And first off, I want to say I'm upset with Trent that I now have to do a video clip, not only with Destiny, who I don't really want to talk about, and now I have to do a commentary on the Whatever podcast, which is something I never wanted to put on my channel. So thank you, Trent. Um, I'm a Catholic, for those that don't know. And I've interacted with Trent Horn a few times under his channel, stuff like that. When he did a survey on whether or not people thought he should do a debate with Destiny, I said that he shouldn't. Basically, because the audience that Destiny carries really wouldn't be interested in an argument from authority, meaning the Catholic argument. And also, they're not really interested in a religious or theological argument or biblical argument. More than that, that Destiny would probably find it hard to resist the temptation to go into the Catholic scandals if he got caught in the corner. But those fears were unfounded. Trent Horn did great. I am not a huge Trent Horn fan. I want to be very clear. I like him. I respect him. He's actually one of the apologists I went to listen to, and while I was converting into Catholicism. But I've also criticized him openly in the last 5 years. So even though I really respect him, I don't think that I'm a fanboy of his. I'm not. I really like the amount of topics that he covers, and I like to hear his opinion even if I don't agree with him. In fact, a lot of times I agree with Gavin Ortlund or Father Casey. I agree with them more than I agree with Trent. I agree with Bishop Robert Barron a ton more than I agree with Trent Horn. But I still really respect his abilities as a debater. But I kind of want to think about what he said in this debate. It's a 3-hour debate. I watched the whole thing. I didn't think I was going to watch it in one shot. I ended up actually getting through the whole video. None of Trent Horn's arguments on anything have ever convinced me about anything. Even though I like his arguments and I like his reasoning, he's not very convincing. When I first went back to the church, even though I was listening to Catholic Answers, I listened to him and Jimmy Akin and Tim Staples, I was still very much a liberal Catholic, a liberal Christian, socially and politically liberal. I came from kind of a humanistic, hedonistic viewpoint in life that later transformed into Taoism, that later became, I returned to the Christian faith and then returned to Catholicism. Journey, not really important to get into right now. It's on other videos, you want to hear about it. But Trent Horn, I've listened to his arguments about abortion and I don't find them very convincing. Obviously, I do conform with the church, but it isn't Trent Horn that got me there. It was practicing a thing called the Liturgy of the Hours, which is a prayer that's said 5 times a day. It's the official prayer of the church. And reading a group of people called the Church Fathers, specifically reading the Didache. I have several translations of the Didache. The translation that really spoke to me was the one by Bart Ehrman. It has Greek on one side and has the English on the other side, and it's really cool. But it was seeing that the early church fathers held these views and set these rules at the very foundation of the church, the very beginning of the church. Once you get out of the Bible, once you get out of Acts, and once you get past the book of Revelation, the church continues. And it's those first early Christians who are really setting the understanding, whether it be creeds or whether it be learning and magisterial type stuff, the dogma. They're setting all this stuff down for the first time. The Didache is what convinced me on that the church's ruling on abortion was officially, specifically what it is. And that's what convinced me to conform to the church's teaching. And it was like that with a lot of things. So a lot of social issues that I conformed on, not just reconciled, but actually changed my mind because of reading the church fathers, not from listening to Trent Horn speak, not to listen to Jimmy Akin. First off, they're lay people. They're not officials in the church. They don't have any power or any authority. But secondly, their opinions are sometimes inconsistent. They're sometimes haughty. They're sometimes arrogant. I can be the same way. I'm not judging them. I have the same problem. But it was reading the church fathers that convinced me. I do think that the debate with Destiny went very well. I don't think he's going to convince Destiny's audience. And I already see Trent online. Just because I don't know him, I follow his channel. I see him online in his comments saying how the other side's already saying, well, he's just appealing to the church's ruling, and that's not what he really thinks, which is kind of where I thought they were going to go. Although they still haven't brought up the church scandals, which I'm still waiting on for them to do that. So I play in the muck. I go on to small atheist and anti-theist channels, and I like to wrestle, man. I like to box. I like to get in there and debate. And sometimes I'm real prepared. Sometimes I don't know what's going on, and sometimes I have to open up a Bible or open up a council and see what was said and be like, hey, okay, well, here's the counter, and I find that very fun. But it's not a huge audience that enjoys that kind of stuff. And I don't think that Trent is the right guy for that. Trent outclassed and outmatched Destiny wholeheartedly. It's just bam. But I don't think Trent convinced Destiny of anything. And I don't think he convinced most of Destiny's audience. I don't think he even spoke to them. I think he spoke either past them or over their heads. His audience, Destiny's audience, is very smart, very clever, just like him. But they're clever and smart in certain facts in certain areas. Just to kind of sum up where I'm coming from, I was on a channel a few days ago where I just wanted to talk philosophy, not religion. And I was talking to a friend of mine. We were having a good time. And then every time an anti-theist would come in, they try to bring it back to religion and try to get me on gotcha questions on verses of the Bible that seem to contradict other verses of the Bible, and trying to show an inconsistency in thought or theology that really had nothing to do with the conversation. And even if I would take the time to explain the answer, they wouldn't get it. Even if they got it, they wouldn't admit that they got it. And the amount of time it would take to explain the context and the continuity and the way that it relates to other texts, that could take hours. Like I've written things that are 10, 20, 30 pages long on a single verse. So I just don't see an audience like Destiny's audience wanting to do that with religion. If they wanted to do that with religion, that's what they'd be studying. It's kind of like a holdover audience from back in the blood sports days of the internet, of YouTube. And like, hey, I'm from the shit posting days. Okay. So I'm not against Destiny's style at all, but he's more Twitch and Trent is more Facebook and YouTube. And if you get what I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm saying. Trent is not the right person for this particular audience. I think someone like Catholic Converts, who's doing a lot of work on TikTok, she's doing the yeoman's work now. She's in there and she's engaging the audience at their level and in real active engagement and going in depth while still fighting back and not always coming out looking like she won, even if she's telling the truth. And I think Trent has reached a state in his career where Destiny's really not the guy he should be debating. I think the Matt Delehantes of the world are over. There's a new group of atheists out there. There's a new group of people who need to learn the faith, if they belong to the faith, and need to come to the faith if they're not in the faith. And I don't know if Trent's the new guard anymore. I think he's he's kind of where Jimmy Akin was a few years ago, or Tim Staples was a little bit before then. So I really respect Trent. I just don't think this was the best move in the debate. I do submit to the teachings of the church. I do agree with the church. What I don't agree on, I submit my will to the church, and that's fine. I just don't think an argument from authority is going to work. And I'm glad that Trent didn't do that. I'm glad that Trent did argue the science, and I'm glad that he did argue the philosophy. But I think Destiny was expecting a religious argument. He was expecting the Bible to be thrown at him, and instead he got a scientific and ethical debate on abortion. And a lot of people were saying that Trent Horn wasn't qualified to give a scientific or ethical debate. I mean, whatever. Anyway, I appreciate that Trent Horn did this. I don't think, though, he should make a habit, which it looks like he's about to, but I don't think he should make a habit of engaging in this kind of low-hanging fruit apologetics. I think Reason and Theology is really good at this kind of stuff. Let him do it. Let Catholic converts do it. Let guys like me who are down in the muck, who our channels are already, trashed, let us do it. You have too much dignity and too much, there's too much writing on you actually being correct, and too many people are looking at you that it's not worth losing big to a guy like Destiny, which I'm very grateful to God that you didn't lose and that you did win, Trent. But I don't think this was wise. And I think it's better to be wise than it is to try and engage this newer audience. I think the work that you're doing is becoming stately and it's becoming important. And it would be a shame if you became a joke like Ken Ham or a joke like Ray Comfort. Like, you don't need to be blown out of the water by someone who's snarky and being clever and gets you on a gotcha. If you lost the debate to Vosh, it just wouldn't look good for the church. So I think take your own advice and take on more serious scholars. Take on people who are more interested in this topic. I mean, Destiny went from Zazak to you. Like he went from one major extreme heavy debate to you. And I get that he's a clever guy. He knows a lot of stuff. But some of this is just rhetorical tricks. Some of this is just debate brain. And I think you can serve our community better by helping out people like me and people like, I keep trying to say Catholic Amanda, Catholic converts who are doing this in the trenches. And we could use help from someone who has done it before. We could use correction from someone like you who's done it before versus you trying to reach out to an audience that might not be receptive to your information. All right. Peace, like, and subscribe. That's it. That's my comments on the Destiny Trent Horn debate.